We're now joined by Mitch Haniger, Seattle Mariners right fielder, and Petey wants to steal the spotlight again. I usually introduce our guest, but Petey's got two in a row, so Petey, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm letting you guys get Haniger. Here to Fenway back in June or July, I forget what it was, but yeah, we got Mitch Haniger on here, man. Another great friend, another great roommate from spring training. Me actually, Javi, I don't know if I told you this. It was me, Haniger, and Suter at the time when we lived together out in the apartments. Those guys were there like to get ready for the season early to be possible call-ups, and I was just there.
You were for the vibes, bro.
Yeah, I think I was like the guy, like, hey, like you want to drive like at night and stuff like that, like just to kind of
No, how about all the times we used to get in trouble because they said we were drinking and partying? It's like, no, we're just playing video games. Like, it was Suter yelling at the TV. So
exactly, that's just Suter doing some sort of recording in there. That's nothing. But Henny, thanks so much for joining us, buddy. Just a quick background, for our listeners here. We got the chance to play with Haniger obviously when he was with the Brewers, first rounder back in 2012, 38th overall. What was it? The supplemental first round there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Traded to the D-backs after spending a couple of years with us in 2014. Then obviously, I'd say most well known for your time with the Mariners and what you've been able to do the last couple of years. But Mitch, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. Can't wait to talk about your season a little bit, talk about your career, and get a little firsthand analysis from a guy who's probably faced a lot of these guys that we're going to see here starting on Friday night in this series, and and get some good insight here. So thanks for coming on, buddy.
Mitch, we like to do this with all our guests, man. Petey and I are minor leaguers at heart. We never got the thrill of the call up, man. So take us to that moment. You get the phone call, you're going to the major leagues. What was it like, friends and family, and the ability to sort of say that, it was a culmination after spending some time in the minor leagues, you finally get that call up, you're on a major league roster.
Well, I'll first start out by saying, like, anytime you find out you're going to the big leagues, you're pumped, right? Like, no one's like mad that they're getting called up. With that being said, like, a lot of times, I guess people dream about, like, you're sitting in the clubhouse and then the manager comes in and is like, "Hey guys, we got a special announcement. Like, this guy's going to the big leagues." Yeah. And then everyone gets fired up like that. We've seen that happen a lot, or a guy get called into the office. Nowadays you see guys like these organizations recording it. And personally, I'd hate that. Like, just make it intimate. It doesn't need to have all these cameras around. But anyways, my story is I'm playing. We're in Nashville. I'm playing AAA with the Reno Aces, and manager comes up to me, and I'm up like fifth that inning, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Getting my stuff on. I'm hoping we get a couple guys on so I can hit." He's like, "Nah, you're coming out." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, man, you're going to the big leagues. You got to fly out in the morning." I was like, "Oh, sweet." And so I was pretty fired up, and then it was like really awkward. Like, do I wait till the game's over, or do I just take my stuff and go upstairs? Like, what do we do? So I just hung out for a few innings, and they're like, "All right, get out of here. Like, go call some people." And I actually got to use the trainer's phone to call my parents and my wife, my fiance at the time. And then, it's great. Flew out in the morning, made my debut the next day.
Mitch, your story, obviously, Petey alluded to it. You were with the Brewers, got traded to the D-backs. The D-backs give you that opportunity. But, early on in your career, you're part of a big trade, right? I think what we try and tell our listeners is, like, minor leagues is tough as it is. When you're a minor leaguer, you're going through this grind. All of a sudden you get traded. You're in a package that brings a big leaguer to Milwaukee. You're going to the D-backs. Talk to us about how, like, in tune you were with that whole process. Like, did you know you were in trade talks? Did you know at any point, like, hey, this could be my last game with this group of guys, a group of guys that you probably got drafted with, you got to know really well. You're in the minor league locker room. Like, what was that process like as a minor leaguer being in one of those big trades?
Yeah, no, I had no idea that I was even going to be traded. I had no clue until they were like, "Hey, we just traded you to the Diamondbacks." And I think like 90% of the time you don't know you're going to be involved in a trade. But I think that was my second year in the minor leagues. I think like 2.5 years in, I didn't really fully understand everything yet. Like I had a pretty good idea, but I didn't understand the business of how things worked. So like stupidly looking back on, I'm like, yeah, I was like one of the, I think, top 10 prospects of the Brewers. Like, of course I would have probably been a name that would be thrown around a lot. But at the time I was just like, I don't know, I'm just like playing, trying to hang out with the boys and play, and whatever happens. But yeah, it's you start to get a taste of the business side of things. And then, usually getting traded for is a good thing because it means the team likes you. So, that's typically what your agent should tell you after you get traded. If you're bummed or whatever, it's like, hey, it's a good thing. It's a good opportunity. So I just looked at it like that. I think when I got traded, the reason why it threw me off the most the first time I got traded is I was on the IL. I had been hurt like most of that summer with a left elbow thing. And so I when I got traded, I was like, what the heck? Like, they're trade for a hurt guy? But yeah, they didn't care.
You're just grinding away in Brevard or in Huntsville. Where were you?
I was in Huntsville. Yeah.
Huntsville.
Brevard, what a spot, bro. Going back to Brevard, Javi. What is that? It's like a softball complex now.
It's a nice one though, dude. It's all turf fields now. It looks
oh,
great.
It's not even no one plays there anymore, huh?
No.
Rebuild. So I think it's just like Hanny, they turfed like the entire across the street, everything. Like they just play like softball tournaments, baseball tournaments, roll the mounds out. It's just
wow.
Totally different. Let's get a little bit into this season. Obviously, you guys made a ferocious run there at the end. Started playing some really, really good baseball when it mattered most down the stretch there. But just kind of run us through a little bit, of this season, how it went for you. Just what it was like there a little bit at the end, and just dive into all that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing season altogether. I mean, anytime you don't make the playoffs and win the World Series, you should be disappointed, but really disappointed not making the playoffs. That's always our goal every year. And we had unbelievable pitching staff. Our pitching carried us all season long. I mean, what a treat to have 5 legit starters. That's the last couple. 22, we had a really, really good starting staff as well, but this was above and beyond anything I've ever played with before. Our 5 starting pitchers, and we had such a good season because of them. Everyone kind of struggled in the lineup. We had a couple guys have really good years, but kind of 1 through 9 for the most part struggled. And frustrating. I think this offseason, guys just got to go back home and have a good idea of what they need to work on to improve to get better for next year. Because I think we have all the pieces. We have a great team. Just underperformed as an offense, and our pitching, I think it'll keep doing what it's supposed to do because those guys are just really talented. And you oftentimes don't you don't see pitching struggle very long, right? You see there's always ups and downs throughout a baseball season, but you can rely on good pitching to always be there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Javi, being at that game earlier this year, Mitch, like when we were with Brady, watching Logan Gilbert throw, man, it's I've never seen anything like it. I think I was telling these guys on one of the podcasts after that, I've seen a lot of guys throw. I've seen a lot of guys throw up close. There was something about the way that sort of Gilbert, whether, the way he hides the ball and the way it comes out of his hand, man, it was just, it was different. Like and I mean, Sox probably, I think we put a 7 spot up like in the second or third. I say I'm not on the team, but I was there. But it's just, it was fun to watch your staff. It was obviously, it's always fun to watch you guys play. And, but yeah, like you said, I mean, we talked about it earlier too, with the boys on here was, what was it back in 2021, your Player Tribune article, and about missing the playoffs and what that season kind of meant to you guys and how close you were, and kind of do what you guys did in 22. And obviously, you have the playoff experience from that. So I'm sure it hurts a little bit more kind of not getting there this year. But, like you said, you guys, that lineup that you guys have, and I think the fight that you guys bring every single night, you guys, you go ahead this offseason, put the work in. You most of those starters return next year. I mean, the Mariners, man, there's a bright future there.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got all the right pieces. Just for whatever reason on the offensive side this year didn't click. I think it's different for every guy. What that could have been, and I think you always can learn from your downfalls and your mistakes and come back stronger next year.
Mitch, what's it like playing in Seattle? I feel like Seattle's such a rabid fan base, and you got that video on your Instagram. We were watching it, Todd and I, before the episode. That the one that went viral, the guy's making the heart right behind you right before your walk-off hit there at the end of the season. What's it like playing in Seattle? It seems like you guys have such a close connection to the community and the fan base.
Yeah, fans are great, man. Super supportive, super loyal. Everybody knows that. We broke the drought in 22, but we hadn't been in the playoffs in 21 years, and we still pack the house when we're good, and that's a credit to the people in Seattle. I mean, it's a blast to play in front of our fans, and they show up and they bring the energy. It's it's something that, like, I love my short time. I was hurt a bunch with San Francisco, but I missed the energy the Seattle fans bring was different, and it's fun.
It's so cool to see it, especially like Todd and I were here in South Florida. We don't get that level of excitement from our baseball. So I mean, as the season wears on, we latch onto some of these teams that are making runs, and you guys seem like you were close. You're right there. Obviously, you finished 1 game out of that third wild card spot, and obviously a lot to build on. You mentioned and touched on it, but it seems like Seattle's a fantastic place to play. Mitch, we're going to ask you here to put your World Series correspondent hat on. Give us a little analyst feel to what we can expect here in the postseason. I think first and foremost, as someone who's played in the postseason, Mitch, You know, how does the heightened intensity sort of factor into your preparation for a game, right? I think from the outsider's perspective, we're not in there, we're not in the arena, we don't necessarily understand what these at bats are like. But it seems like in the postseason, every at bat is life or death. How is it so much different than a regular season at bat, and how do you prep for an at bat in the postseason?
As far as preparation goes, to me, it should be the same as any other game. I think that the way I try to look at the regular season is like, if this was a World Series game tonight, how would I prepare? And it's like I would watch my video, I would be on time, I would show up, I would do my prep work, I would just make sure I'm really warmed up. Like I would do everything. And I think if you do that all year long, when you get to the playoffs or to the World Series, you don't feel, Derek Jeter used to talk about this all the time, and that's something I'm like, okay, well, why not learn from someone like him? Prepare the same way so that's not different when you get to the playoffs. But yes, the bats are different, and it's just a different energy that is in the stadium. It is kind of life or death. The season's on the line. Most of the teams are already out. 20-something teams are already at home. So there's something that with the competition level is just so at such a high, and you can't replicate that during the season. I don't know if if your body could take that level of excitement for 8 months and play at that level, it just can't happen. And I think that's why you see guys like super banged up in the playoffs or really hurt and they're able to play through it. It's just because like there's so much energy, you feel less, like your pain is turned down a little bit, like the volume on everything else is up and you're ready to go.
You're showing up to the park with a whole new level of adrenaline. And again, to your point, we're talking about Freddie Freeman. Todd and I were talking beforehand, like, how is Freddie Freeman getting into the batter's box? Like, we don't know what's underneath, that pant leg with that ankle. I mean,
I can tell you this though, he would be on the IL if this was the regular season, without a doubt,
for sure.
If you're having an off day every 2 to 3 days in the playoffs, which you don't have very frequently during the season, right? You might get one off day every 7 to 10 days. And he's having to not play because his ankle hurts so bad. And that's not a guy who sits out. That's a dude that posts every game. I mean, that guy plays 162 games a season usually, or he's right up there with the top games played every year. He's grinding, like, no doubt. But I think the reason why it's tough, and the second reason is because like there's so much riding on this, and there's so much energy that is involved. So he's able to ride that, and it kind of dumbs down the pain.
Yeah, and you were just talking,
and Robert's hinted at this, so I'm not like bringing it, but like he's there, he's taking some pain help. He's having pain help, absolutely. I mean, dude, you can't do that every single night during the season. You'll just wear out. These things have a toll on your body.
You can just watch him too, man. It's just like it looks like it hurts sometimes out there, man. Even like singles, it's like you almost wish you could leg out a double so you don't have to watch him hobble down the line on a single. You just talked about your preparation, and I started firsthand in Boston this year, and obviously, I got my young son out there with us, and you came and talked to us during BP, but a lot of times, like, I'm watching you during BP and how much video you're taking in and how much time you're spending either talking to the hitting coaches or like just going through different in your stance, different motions, different things, and it's like you can just tell how locked in and everything you get and how prepared you are. You've faced Garrett Cole, you've faced these guys. How do you, take us through, this is game one for you. You faced a guy like Cole all season long. How are you preparing? I know you said you don't do anything necessarily different, but how are you preparing for a guy like Cole in the playoffs, World Series game one? Are you looking at old ABs you had against him?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, I'm watching typically the last two starts, and then I'm watching some of my old at bats against them, seeing how he pitched me, seeing if I had success, what was I hitting, were they mistakes, was like, where was he attacking me, how was he attacking me, and then it goes into like, all right, is that aligned with what he's typically doing the last couple starts I've watched, or is that different? And then there's a little bit of cat and mouse. So I think like you can be prepared, all the preparation, you can watch all the video in the world, but let's say you own a guy and he's typically just attacked you away with fastballs and off speed away. He might be like, you go back up there and be like, oh, well, that's what he's gonna do, or is he gonna try to flip the script and do something completely different? You never know. There's a little bit of cat and mouse you got to figure out with that. The only thing I would do differently, I would say now after having experience in the postseason, albeit short, I wish it was longer, but is like knowing that when you face a starting pitcher, like you're probably not going to see him 3 times.
Yeah.
You might get one pitch to hit in those 2 at bats against him. So just be like, it's not, and there's a right time and place to take a pitch, depending on what the situation of the game calls for. But man, that like, don't wait around. In the playoffs, you cannot wait around because you're probably not going to see the starter 3 times. Where typically in the season, these guys are pitching. Their goal is to try to go like 6, 7 innings, 8 innings. So they're attacking guys a little bit quicker. They're trying to get early outs, and then the postseason, it's like, no, I'm going to try. From what I see, it's like a lot of these power pitchers are trying to strike everybody out because they know that that's probably the only way they're going 6, 7 is if they're punching guys and there's no traffic and there's no damage.
Mitch, do you like as a hitter, and this is more, not necessarily in this series, but do you sense an advantage once that third time through the order comes through from a starting pitching perspective? We see managers so reluctant, and organizations, I think it's more so an organizational thing, but they're reluctant to let the starting pitcher face a lineup the third time. Do you see is there a notable difference? Is it psychological? Is it more like, hey, we understand the numbers, like this is where we're going to get this guy?
I don't agree with taking a guy out just because the numbers say that. But yes, there is an advantage for the hitter because your brain is a library. So anything you're seeing, the first time you see it, it's new. Second time, it's easier to see. Third time, like you just see it better typically. And now I've struck out plenty of times in my third at bat against a starting pitcher because like it goes both ways. He's seeing you more too. And I know the numbers say that it's probably wise to take him out, but there's certain guys in certain days that are shoving, and you just gotta let it ride. Because there's no guarantee the bullpen arm's coming in and just throwing up a 0. There's no guarantee.
Music to Petey's ear.
So like, just use your eyes. I think I hate it. Like, hey, we get the analytics. Makes sense. Now I'm gonna use my eyes and like, hi, no, I'm letting this guy ride.
Yeah,
but I think I'm pulling Blake Snell a couple of years ago.
Mitch, in terms of like what the Dodgers are going to do here from a pitching perspective, they don't have the starting horses that the Yankees do. They don't have a Rodon. They don't have a Garrett Cole. They don't have, a Clark Schmidt. They got Flaherty. They got Yamamoto and a bunch of question marks. So, I mean, one of the interesting things, this is such a, 2020, 2024 kind of baseball thing, is we're going to see a couple bullpen games, right, from the Dodgers here in the World Series. So the most important series of the season, they're going to throw out possibly twice, this Johnny Holstaff. So from a hitter's perspective, when the pitchers are coming in every, 4 or 5 outs, what are you guys trying to do? How are you trying to prepare for that? How are you honing in on one particular guy who, your time through the order, it's going to be someone totally different?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like I've tried to watch all the video before on every guy I can possibly face. And sometimes I don't think guys watch enough video, and I try to just watch it just enough. You don't want to get caught up in like, this is what he threw to this guy last night's 2-1 count. So that's what I'm going to look for. But I think you should know how his shapes are generally, where he attacks, what his good stuff is, and where he gets hit. And so just watching a little bit and taking that in, I think is good to know. So I try to do that before, and then whoever they bring in, I'll just brush up on the scouting report because I've already watched him to see how he pitches, and then I'll just look at the scouting report that's like velo, pitch shapes, certain outlier counts that he'll go to which pitch, and that's really it. And sometimes those are the hardest days to hit because you're seeing a different guy every inning, and they're putting a guy in to face your pocket of the lineup that is their best bet against that pocket. I think when it doesn't work out is when managers try to stretch guys, or a guy who's kind of a low leverage reliever who might not have the best stuff ever, and they need that 2 or 3 innings out of that guy. That's where I think it bites them.
And I think too, when you get into these situations with bullpen arms, the manager, you got to play. You just mentioned it perfectly, right? Like high leverage, low leverage. All of a sudden in a bullpen game, you got to stretch guys out. You got to make the right decision 5 or 6 different times as a manager, pushing the right button. Whereas if you had a starting pitcher that could maybe get you, 15 to 18 outs, kind of let him ride a little bit. A lot of different stuff comes into play in these series. And with a bullpen game, I just find it so intriguing and fascinating that the Dodgers are going to throw this out there just due to their lack of starting pitching. Well,
yeah, I mean, they had so many injuries this season. They're such a good team. So, if someone would have told you at the beginning of the year, hey, the Dodgers are going to be in the World Series, I'd be like, yeah, like there's a really good chance of that. But the way they kind of finished up the season, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had gotten knocked out because they're pitching and everyone's, a lot of guys are on the IL. So I've been I'm a little shocked they made it to the World Series, but it's just a testament of how good that team really is.
Hanny, have you faced Ohtani?
Yeah.
As like a peer, obviously in the game, like what's it Like, what is it like? You ever find yourself like in awe of a guy like that? Like, just obviously.
For sure. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It-
He's an all-star on both sides of the ball, right? Like on pitch, he can pitch and be an all-star, and he could hit alone and be an all-star, and if not MVP, like that's insane. I don't understand how he's going to keep it up for a long career, and I hope he does because it's the coolest thing ever. I love watching it.
Yeah,
but it's oh my gosh, man, that's a lot of torque and on your body. And the one thing that he does have going good for him is he throws right, he hits lefty, so he's like, as far as rotation goes, like it's a little better than just being same-sided.
Yeah.
How's this stuff from a pitching perspective, Hanny? Like,
it's really good.
We haven't seen him in 2 years now. So what's it?
Yeah, I don't know how. Hopefully, he's the same guy that he was before this second Tommy John. Everything you hear about his makeup is that he's extremely hard worker, and so I would assume that he's surrounded himself with people that can help him with his body, and he's going to be just fine. But it's really good. It's upper 90s heater. It's pretty straight, but he's like most Japanese guys, they love the four seam. Sinkers aren't really common over there. And then really good splitter and a slider that he manipulates like most like him. The Darvish will do the same thing, and you might get a really good one, and you might get one that kind of backs up, and then you think it's going to break, and you end up popping it up, and it's weird. But he's got great stuff. It's all-star caliber pitcher and hitter.
Are you going up there and just eliminating a pitch? Because I mean, you can't eliminate.
Yeah,
everything, right?
against most pitchers you have to. You try to at least. Some guys you can't, but yeah.
It's crazy to think that like this stuff has gotten so good. I mean, that's why PD and I are doing a podcast, right? And PD, we're here evaluating, talking about pitchers with this kind of stuff. And obviously, Mitch, you're seeing these guys on a day in, day out basis. So like we're asking you these questions because we genuinely have no idea what it's like to have that kind of stuff, right? But it's crazy that you talk about your at bats, and obviously you're someone who's obviously very prepared, understands a game plan, understands what he wants to do at the plate. But sometimes just stuff beats you, and I think that baseball, it's such a unique sport. Again, the failure aspect, like third time through the order, there's still a good chance that the pitchers, the numbers are still tilted in his favor, right? So again, the pitching in this stuff is so fascinating. It's crazy that what Ohtani can do on that level on both sides of the ball is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm kind of I've been a little surprised on how we've seen like some high run scoring games in playoffs. I like just with how good the stuff in the pitching is. I wouldn't have thought to see that. I would expect to see a lot of games, 4-2, 3-1, not like, seeing a couple games where teams have scored over 10 runs. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. Mitch, you played in both of these parks, obviously, as a member of the Giants. You're in Chavez Ravine quite a bit. Who do you give the home field advantage to? Which is the tougher park to play in? Is it Yankee Stadium or is it Dodger Stadium?
God, they're both so different, but I can't really pick one. Yeah, man, Dodgers fans will get on you. New York's not nice, so it's pretty even in terms of home field advantages go. Maybe New York just because they're used to playing in a little bit of colder weather throughout the playoffs, and probably LA hasn't had to yet.
You got to stick up for your Cali family, bro. I
don't know.
Where do you rather hit, Mitch? What's a better sightline for a hitter?
Oh, LA, easy.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, if you're left-handed, you probably say
Yankee Stadium for sure.
Yankee Stadium, but Yankee Stadium's you got to hit it to center. Left center is really big. Right down the line to left is okay, short, and then right field, obviously, all of right field is super short.
Are you thinking
LA is great? I've never got a ball in LA and then been shocked that it got caught or hit the wall. It always goes out.
Wow. Are you thinking right field in Yankee Stadium? Like, do you ever find yourself
if the certain pit? I'm trying to think of someone I faced there who I've thought that with. Maybe like a righty guy who's throwing all cutters or sliders. Sometimes I'll think that, but for me as a hitter, I have never had a lot of success when I'm trying to hit the ball to right field. That's not a good thought for me as a hitter.
So you're not taking advantage of that short porch, man. PD,
I'd love to.
A good tidbit for you and I, man. We're trying to get Mitch out. Take him to Yankee Stadium, bro.
Bro, I'm still trying to get Mitch out. That was the question I was going to ask him. Like, did you just watch a shitload of video on me, or is my shit?
No, we didn't have video. I just got lucky.
They didn't have video for guys.
PD, he saw that 90 fastball, bro. He said, "Come on,
I saw those changeups you were throwing. And I was like, all right, he's gonna throw me some changes."
All the spring training early. They were like, "Hey, Haniger needs to hit down on field 3. Why don't you head down?"
Mitch, we're gonna wrap up here soon, but our final World Series question. Give us your World Series winner, how many games, and your World Series MVP.
All right, so let me start this off by saying, probably wrong. I'm not good at these things, but I'll say Yankees and I want to say 5, but it might go 6.
Wow, dude,
Wow.
that's. I mean, he didn't even like the. He's liking it for the Yankees. He's liking the Soto aspect of coming into that lineup. And who are you talking about? I mean, like who's your
MVP?
Let you go. Go ahead. Finish it up. Javi's got your question. Go ahead. MVP.
I'd like to see Judge win it. I'd like to see him have a monster series. I'd love to see Stan win it too, just because he's been so good in the playoffs. But I'm like, all right, has he been so hot and now it's just gonna like kind of fizzle, or is he just gonna ride this? It's so hard to say. Like, but those would be cool. I mean, Soto would be cool too. But I'd like to see Judge win it.
Mitch, when you see
I like how he
Stan,
goes. Sorry, I like how he goes about his business, man. Like he looks like a team guy through and through.
Yeah.
It's not a big look at me guy. He celebrates with his teammates, but it's not nothing extra. Like he's a pro.
He doesn't have to be a look at me guy, dude.
I know, but nowadays I think it's so common that because it gets more clicks, it gets more likes. Guys want that extra attention, and he's just like, I'm going to get it because I play well, and I love that.
Mitch, you one last question. I think it's important. We were talking about it, but Stanton, these 4 days off, Stanton was on such a good run, man. Is there anyone that wanted this series to start sooner than Giancarlo Stanton? Because what's he feeling up there at the plate? Because it seems like every pitch that they throw to him, he's doing damage. It's not like he's hitting singles. These are not cheapies. I mean, 4 out of the last 5 games, he's put it out of the park. So
yeah,
put us in his shoes right now in the batter's box.
I have no idea. First off, no clue. But I think what I like to talk about and is what fans might not understand during the season. Like sometimes a guy isn't locked in because like physically they have something that they're playing through that they're hurt. And this year you've seen a lot with some of the guys on my team. It's like, man, he's struggling, but he's grinding because he's hurt. He's like his fingers half broken or whatever it is. So he could just be feeling great physically, and that's why he's performing well. I'm assuming it's just, sometimes in the postseason, you just happen to be hot and you have a great postseason. But I think his career, I think he's always been really good in the postseason. And then you got guys like him, you got guys like Kike Hernandez is just like, he loves that heightened energy and thrives in it. That heightened postseason atmosphere, thrives in it. And I think there's guys like that during the season, you're not going to look at their numbers and be like, oh my God, this guy's like unbelievable. But in the postseason every year they rake. Yeah. It's so hard to say. I have no idea exactly why.
That's my X factor right there, Kike, dude. Like you said, I don't know what it is, man, but that's a special player. What he did in Boston, I wish he was still in a Sox uni. But I mean, again, like you said, you look at him during the year, and it's, he's a couple injuries away from. I mean, that's the only reason why he's playing now, which is as crazy as it is. And now he just goes out there and like you said, he's raking, and man, this is his moment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we got Mitch Yankees in 5. I got Yankees in 7.
Are you happy with that?
Toad has Yankees in 5. Petey's the only contrarian here. Petey's got Dodgers in 6. And what did Brady have? Brady had Yankees.
Yeah, Dodgers in 6. Like
Dodgers in 6. The Peterson.
You just can't agree to seeing the Yankees win, huh?
The Peterson household can't say Yankee on anything that's going to be put on the internet. It's evergreen. It'll live forever. So take a hard line. Mitch, man.
I mean, dude, like with that being said, like I think for me, because I don't have no ties to either organization or anything. Like it'd be cool to see the Yankees win it. It'd be cool to see the Dodgers win it.
Right.
Dodgers would finally get, people always kind of, I think, throw jabs at them. Oh, you won a 60-game World Series. Like, yeah. Now, like they did it, they could do it and be like, see, look how good we are. We had half our team that was like hobbling through the playoffs, and we still won the World Series. So it's cool either way for the Yankees or Dodgers, and it'll be cool if next year the Mariners get one, right? That's right. That's the plan. 2025 Mariners. Mitch, thanks so much for joining us, man. We really, really appreciate it. Yeah, of course.
We never had the opportunity to meet, but I was part of your story. I think I told you off air. I was sitting in the stands in Wisconsin doing the radar gun when you got traded. So really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. We wish you a ton of luck next year. I know we'll circle back on that pick with the Yankees, man. I know Toad and I are standing strong. The Peterson bros are going to hang with the Dodgers, but thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.